Comfort Zone with Ray Comfort. Thought-provoking. Informative. Engaging. Are you ready to be inspired and equipped? And now, the Comfort Zone with Ray Comfort.
Welcome to the Comfort Zone with Ray Comfort. Friends, if you notice today that my smile is extra, how do you say it, Ray?
Curly?
Ugly, curly, exuberant, I don't know, big. There's a reason for it. It's because I have finally discovered, after all of these years of opposing this message, that God loves me and has a wonderful plan for my life. Let me explain. Number one, I found someone who could cut my hair in a way that I like, because I lost 2 of my barbers, Ray.
Where were they lost?
They left me. I don't know. They just keep quitting. So I finally found someone. Look at this. Isn't that nice?
They cut out on you. Huh?
Yeah, they cut out on me.
Is it real?
Isn't that nice?
Never mind.
Nice.
Doesn't matter.
And number 2,
Yeah,
God loves me and has a wonderful plan for my life because this Arab's fruit trees have produced far more fruit than Ray Comfort's. And that brings me joy. I love that video you sent me, Ray. We're going to have to show it.
No, we're not.
Because I have one for you.
Excuse me? I curse your fig trees.
Oh, yeah. You heard it, friends. You heard it here. But you'll see. You'll see one day. Oh, I love that little video.
You do not.
No, that's true. Mine is better. Welcome to the Comfort Zone, friends. Good to have you. Now, have you connected with us on Twitter, on Facebook yet? You know, Ray, you have how many now? 400 and...
I don't know.
18,000 last time I saw.
Yes.
That's amazing. Really is amazing.
420,256.
No one's counting, right? Yeah, and anyhow, but that's a way to connect with us, for you to contact us. So look us up by name, Emeal, Zwayne, Ray Comfort, Mark Spence. And make sure to also subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/awaythemaster. We're over 91,000 subscribers, Ray.
And speaking of that, I would like to thank the gentleman who sent us one of these stickers that's behind me.
Yes.
Have a look at it behind us.
Oh, yes. Not bad. It's great.
This is what he sent us, and he sent a little note. I just want to thank him personally. His name's Josh Wilson. He said this: I've been so appreciative to discover the Living Waters channel. The Comfort Zone show and the Living Waters University have given me confidence to share the gospel and understand how to comprehend current events in a biblical way. I don't know what could be more valuable. That is so encouraging because you, me, and Mark spend minutes and minutes each day in preparation for the show, and
not that long, Ray.
yeah,
Come on.
It really is. It really is.
These are really cool. I was just checking them out.
We just don't know what to do with them.
Too.
Where are you going to stick
like
it?
that or something?
It improves the haircut.
There goes your makeup.
Yeah. Oh, you're right. Diane, help!
We have a glow on
I
the
just
forehead.
took my makeup. You're right. Look at that. You see
I
the
don't want
picture
to see
of
it. No.
Well, welcome back, friends. We hope you had a great weekend and a wonderful Resurrection Day celebration. And Ray, you got a bit technological this weekend with the Google
Yes, on
Glass.
Saturday we had Google Glass and we were able to broadcast, and a whole lot of people watched and prayed for us live while it was actually happening at Huntington Beach. Spence, why are you yawning? This is something high-tech. Yeah, it was just a wonderful time. We don't know if we'll do it every Saturday. I don't know.
Why?
have to discuss that. Because I'm very repetitive.
Right.
And it could become tiresome to see me do the same thing.
Oh, people love it,
every
Ray.
week. I don't know.
Well, you get new
Exactly.
hecklers, you get new scenarios.
Yeah, and I could get new trivia and that. But something neat happened while we're going live. This girl stopped, said she was an atheist. I said, look, do you think I can prove God to you in 60 seconds or 30 seconds? She says, no. So I said, see the building? How do you know there was a builder? And she said, oh. And just the way she said it was just wonderful. Suddenly it struck me how dumb it is to say any building appeared without a builder. And she just carried over the logic, and it was a great time.
See, but you get stuff like that. People love seeing that.
Yeah.
I mean, let me comment on that?
Yeah, jump in, Spence.
Repetition is a great teacher.
You said that before.
Say it again.
Repetition is a great teacher. So people do not get tired of listening to you, whether it's open air preaching or one-on-one. I share the same thing with my kids over and over and over again. I share the same thing with my wife over and over again, and sometimes it just clicks. Or somebody else will share the same thing, and I go to my child and I say, I've been sharing that with you for years, and you finally just got it? Well, it's because maybe Easy shared it, and he was able to connect. You know, we need to continually share these truths because, remember, what is it, the Apostle Paul? He said, to share these things with you again is not, what was the word that he said?
Tiresome.
It was
or
not
something
tiresome,
like
but
that.
for your sake, it is safe.
Yeah.
It is safe. Well, that's the same sort of concept. So I don't think people is going to get tired of you sharing the gospel in the open air preaching session. They get it into them over and over again. And that's why we prepare for sermons.
Right.
We look over our notes over and over again, and then we just get up there and we share. So I beg to differ, Ray. I think that people would be into watching you open air preach every week.
Yeah, that's why you should keep preaching Hell's Best Kept Secret, right?
Oh, no. 836 times is
man.
enough.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, friends. Well, let's jump into it. We have an interesting story today. This is about a teenager taking a selfie in front of a train. Now, selfies have become quite popular. There's been actually some controversy because people have been taking selfies with the president, and some have been using it because, especially celebrities, they've been using it, to promote products or whatever. So selfies are a big deal, but I really doubt that this young man...
explain to people over 83 what a
what
selfie
is. A selfie is this, friends, when you hold up your phone and you do this. A selfie. You take a picture of yourself and then you post it for all the world to see. So if we have this video queued up, let's roll it.
It's a training video.
It's a train wreck.
Wow, that guy kicked me in the head!
Unbelievable.
I think I got that on film!
Oh,
That was funny. Oh, I like that.
okay, look at that, friends. Ah!
That's what you do to a guy who's standing too close to a train as the train goes by. That was the one of the conductors or something, or
Right,
the driver.
yeah.
I don't know. He
Well,
put his foot out and kicked the kid.
I'm glad Mark did that because I saw it
Mark
3,
did
4
what?
times. Mark Spence, he kicked the guy in the head. Thank you, Mark. No, Mark edited it and slowed it down for us because the first few times I saw it, I couldn't even see.
Oh, so
see
you
that
saw, I
thing.
thought I'd changed in my
Yeah.
viewing of it. That's very clever.
Can we
Mark.
play it again? Is that possible, Diane?
Yeah, it'd be good to see it
Danny?
this time.
It'd be great to see it
Because
one more time.
what
Look at
Alan did is put a thing in front of us saying
Oh,
the
man.
mics are still
Look at that.
Wow, that guy kicked me in the head! I think I got that on film!
The guy, but he sounds excited about that. Oh, boy.
I think it's great.
Okay, so what is that, Ray? Do you see that as kind of justice? Do you see
Oh,
it
I
as...
think it's wonderful. Anyone who risks their life needs a kick in the head.
Right.
Because life is very precious. I mean, I think I don't know if you watched it, I sent you a video the other day of these teenagers across high buildings. Have you got to that yet?
No, I haven't.
They were walking to the edge of buildings that were like 80 stories high, right to the edge, and then getting over and swinging on bars with no nets or anything, 80 stories up. Then holding with one hand, looking up to the camera. It had like, 30 million views or something crazy like that. And I thought, I'm adding to this by watching it. I'm building their ego
Right,
by building
right.
that. And how crazy, this is one life. Life is so precious, and if you risk it, you need a kick in the head.
Yeah.
You need to wake up, especially teenagers, because teenagers, and I look back, when I mentioned the other day, I had buddies that jumped off a 50-foot cliff to see how deep the water was. I was a little older. I think I was 22, 21. They were in their late teens. They were still in that stupid age. And I thought, how silly is that? Life is so precious.
Right.
And so a kick in the head is a good thing to do, and that's what we try to do with people that risk their eternity. We want to take that moral law and kick them in the head, wake them up, and say, hey, this is serious business.
Yeah, and that young man's fortunate that wasn't worse. But Mark, what is it with that? I mean, seriously, we're starting to advance in years.
It didn't kill him, did it? The kick in the head.
I don't think it did, but it sure could have. But I mean, Mark, I don't know what it is, but is it youthfulness? Kids will do crazy things like that, and what are we going to do about that in our day and age, man?
Yeah, people go to the extremes to get selfies. I mean, isn't your number one way to take a selfie by running a red light?
Me?
And then you get that ticket in the mail. Here's your selfie with a smile on your face. I mean, this is the social media sort of atmosphere that we live in. When we were little, we were told to keep journals, and we say, we'll never keep a journal. Well, isn't that what Facebook is? Just a
Right.
journal of what's going on inside of our lives. We go to the extreme to take a picture. Why are you standing that close to a train? I like what somebody said inside the chat room. And if you're not in our chat room, if you don't watch this show live, you need to go to tczlive.com. That is our website, tczlive.com. Somebody says, well, I think he got brain damage by that kick in the head. And somebody else said, no, I think he had brain damage before he started.
Yeah.
I mean, we do make silly mistakes, but they're not just silly mistakes. They're borderline sinful mistakes. You're risking your life. You know, being young is no guarantee of old age. I like what Ray says when he's witnessing to people that are in their teens. He says, hey, you're at a young age. It's a dumb age, really. It's an age where you take risks. You drive fast cars. You experiment with drugs, and you experiment with your body. We need to be careful. We need to slow down, and we need to number our days in our youth. Really, we need to pause and allow our youth to count. You know, Paul told Timothy to not let anybody despise him in his youth. Really, a proper translation of that would be, don't give anybody a reason to despise you in your youth.
Right.
Just because you're young doesn't mean you need to be childish. We must be as a child to enter the kingdom of God, but that doesn't mean, once again, to be childish. You know, I was sharing with some friends the other day. It was on I think it was Saturday night. We're walking along and there's this puddle. And I said, you know what Ray Comfort would do if he was here right now? He would not walk around this puddle the way we are doing. He would jump in the puddle, go all the way through. Isn't that so, Ray?
You know why?
Tell us.
Well, years ago, I read the way to know you're getting old is you walk around a puddle and through it. So I deliberately go through it, splash in it, have a swim and walk on.
No thought of the consequences.
No, I don't
No thought
care.
of what happens to his clothes or other people's clothes.
Absolutely.
Just do it.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think teenagers do these sort of things because they're ego-driven and peer-conscious.
Right.
That's why they get into drugs, take risks, because they need the endorsement of their peers.
Yeah.
They want to be respected and loved. I was delighted many years ago, when I was years ago when my son, I won't mention which one, but my youngest son went out and he bought a pair of shoes, sneakers that were $20. He said, I don't care if they're not Nikes. And I thought, he's just grown up.
Wow.
You know, he wasn't driven by the advertisers' pressure to make himself look cool. He wanted practicability because he was going to get married, and money means more when you're getting married, and you need it for food, for the kids, for the table. So there's a maturity that comes to us when we get to a certain point in age, and I just wish teenagers would get to it earlier.
Right. And, you know, that's why oftentimes you'll find that young people who come to Christ are the most passionate because, you know, they have that drive, they have that desire to do extraordinary things. And so that stirs me all the more to want to reach out to the youth. I mean, Mark and I go out every Friday night. We take teams of people out witnessing. And we go to a place where there's a lot of young people. There's older folks as well. But, you know, I see these young people and I think, man, how many people are going to get into the lives of these young people while they're still developing and being shaped and challenge them with the gospel? I got saved, you know, when I was still 15, a month before I turned 16.
Yeah, thank God for that.
And, you know, you get older, you get married, and you start seeing when people don't know the Lord or they're not strong in their faith, how you can just easily drift away. Yeah. And so we need to make it.
There's a huge suicide rate in teenagers, by the way, in the U.S. It's a statistic that's hidden because they don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I remember, Easy, you mentioned that we go out to the Orange Block. It's now called the Outlets at Orange, but when I start to get to the 7th commandment, I'm talking about adultery and looking with lust. And I remember asking this guy, you know, have you ever looked at a woman with lust? He goes, yeah, guy, girl. I go,
wow.
Bisexual? He's all, listen, man, all of us out here, all of the teens out here are bisexual. Wow. And I took a step back. I couldn't believe what he was saying. And I think it was the next week or the week after that, I asked an individual the same question, and he said the same thing. He goes, look, we all experiment with each other. We're all bisexual.
Spence, aren't you supposed to be taking a camera when you go out? I mean, that is very valuable.
We need the Google Glass for those things, seriously, for interviews.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tragic. Last night in devotions, we were talking to the kids about the importance of walking uprightly and how things have changed in society. Yes. I mean, seriously, you go back maybe 40 years ago, and people were ashamed to have anyone find out that they were living together and weren't married.
Right.
So people would make lies up. They would say, oh, you know, we're married. And today, you get people that come in for counseling. Mark and I have experienced this. They want to get marriage counseling. And like maybe the second or third session in, they're casually talking in the conversation about something that happened, you know, that night, and we were in bed, and you're like, wait a minute, what do you mean?
Professing Christians.
Professing Christians. What do you mean? Well, what do you mean? What do you mean? Well, yeah, we're at home. At home? Yeah, we live together. And there's no more thought of that. And the thing that disturbs me is the thought of what the next generation is going to be like. You know, because each generation seems to be
It's the frog
declining.
in the ice water. I changed it up.
I like that.
Slowly gets colder and colder, and
Well, I mean, you nailed it. This is why it is so important for us to raise up a generation of kids that love and fear the Lord, because there's such a contrast. You know, we went to the early morning Easter service at our church. Easy, you were there. It's up on this mountaintop. It's so beautiful. It overlooks the city. And as we get inside the car and we start to drive home, my 13-year-old boy, he says, "Mom, Dad, hey, I just want to thank you so much for bringing us here to this Easter sunrise service." Now, the service is at 6 in the morning. Right? We get up at 4:45 to head here. What 13-year-old boy wants to do that? It's from a child who's been touched by God, raised in the ways of the Lord. And I thank God not just for my kids, but for your guys' kids and the people that are around me.
Didn't you put a picture on your Facebook page of you came downstairs and you walked in a room and the kids are all worshiping?
Yeah, you know, my 11-year-old boy, he just turns 11 years old, and I walk down the steps and I catch him and all of his friends worshiping the Lord with guitar. They had 2 guitars, and I had these little drums that I purchased when I was in Africa. And they all have them. They open up the thing, and they're all drumming, and they're all worshiping, and 2 of them are singing. And I went, wow, this is the way I wish it was when I was growing up, and this is the way it is in my family, and this is the way it needs to be.
I was in the yard 2 days ago. I was working in the backyard. And
pumping up your apples.
Yeah, you know. And I hear the sliding door open, and before I even saw her, I thought, I bet this is what's happening, because she does it routinely. I see Julia, my oldest, she's almost 17, walking out, clutching her Bible, and she went to sit down and read the Bible and spend time with the Lord. And I thought, you know, this is a 17-year-old young lady, and she loves the Lord.
And this isn't something you are making them do.
Absolutely. And that's the joy of it, that she's been doing it for years, because it's the example she's grown up with, seeing in the home with her parents and being encouraged to know and love the Lord. And so it's a thrill. And you know, Mark, we've talked about this before. I've been discouraged at times because I've seen what's happening in this generation, with how many kids grow up in divorced homes, how many kids are sexually immoral, how many kids are caught up in drugs and alcohol and whatnot.
Bullied and beaten.
And yet to see that there's this new trend of young people that are being raised up in homes where parents are proactively training them in the Lord, it is encouraging. It gives you hope, you know, for the next, especially because these young people are sharing the gospel. You know, Mark and I bring our kids out when we go and do evangelism, and they're sharing the gospel. So it's not just that they have this form of godliness, they are living for the Lord.
So to bring it around again, that guy that kicked the kid in the head that was by the train was actually training him up in the way.
Well, I'll tell you, it's a start.
A
little bit of discipline to wake them up, you know.
You know, we're talking about raising our kids, and then, Ray, you asked the question, is this something that you're forcing Julia to do, you know, to go on out? That it's not the case. I love it. My boy Nathaniel, he's 12 years old, and he's going through the New Testament in 3 months, and he's at James. He told me last night. I never told him to do it. I really don't even strongly encourage him to do it. He just, with a friend of his, each night they call each other and says, "Hey, where are you at? Are you keeping up?" And it's basically just reading 3 chapters a night, and that's the way to go. I had sent out an email to some friends, to Todd Friel, to Easy, and some other people, and I said, listen, let me give you guys something very practical to do with your kids. I shared a Easter devotion on Saturday over at my friend's house. Remember, we were talking about when I go to my friend's house, it's my responsibility to share the gospel with his family. And when they come to my house, it's their responsibility to share the gospel with my family. Well, I've just kind of adopted this whole new thing of anytime you have a new event where there's family and friends alike, to take advantage of the situation to share the gospel, whether it's a holiday or whether you're going on vacation. And I said, here's a basic outline that I do to share the gospel. Right? It's in the rising up and it's in the sitting down. So I start off with a story, and then I share a text, and then I have a quote that I have a specific website that I like to go to for quotes concerning any subject out there. And then I share a little testimony, whatever it may be, and then I share the gospel, end it with a quote, and close it off in prayer. It's very simple to do so, and it's about a 10-minute devotion. We need to always be able to do that, not just with our kids, but hey, you're in my house. And since you're in my house, you're going to get the Word of God. And I think this is the way really that we need to do, and it's the way of the future here.
Amen. I remember when Julia was a little girl, we were at a park one time, and she's talking to the little girl she just met, and she goes, "Do you know Jesus?" And the little girl goes, "Yeah." And Julia goes, "Who is he?" It was a classic. I'm like, that's so Julia. But Ray, you wrote a book, How to Bring Your Children to Christ and Keep Them There. And for our friends that are watching today, and we didn't even plan for this to go in this direction today. It's been such a great, conversation, and sparked off by something foolish that a young person did. But what are some of the things you would encourage parents to do in raising their kids in the ways
I
of the
think
Lord?
number one is don't play the hypocrite in front of your kids.
Wow.
Live the Christian life like Mark has been doing all these years, like you've been doing all these years.
Yeah.
Be an example to your kids. Have family devotions, read the Word, pray with your wife pray with the husband, and be real in your Christian walk, and down to earth and not religious, not Pharisaic. To teach the fear of the Lord. Don't have a wrong image of God and paint him as a divine butler who comes running when you click your fingers. Just doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
Teach them that God is to be feared, and you do that by having a correct understanding of the Scriptures and using the moral law. And thirdly, teach them that moral law. Teach them the Ten Commandments. Have them memorize it. Put it between the frontlets of their eyes. Put it on their doorposts. In other words, thoroughly soak your children in an understanding as to what sin is, so that when, as happened with the Apostle Paul, the urge to sin comes up, the commandment is there to accuse and bring them to the foot of the cross. That was the Apostle Paul's testimony, as it tells us through the book of Romans.
Yeah, the hypocrisy thing is so important. Because kids aren't deceived, and they know if you have a genuine love for the Lord or not. I've talked before about the young man who I was witnessing to one day and said, my dad was a pastor all my life growing up, and never once did I hear him talk about God outside of church.
Wow.
And I looked at this young man, you just see the pain in his eyes, And so it's so important that we model that godliness for our children, and that it's genuine for them. And a big part of that, and Mark, I'd love you to speak to this, is being willing to genuinely repent before your children and seek their forgiveness when you've erred. That's something that we've made it a point to do, and it models for them how to do it, because kids aren't deceived. Right, Mark? They know we're sinners.
It's funny that you mentioned that. I was contemplating in my head, should I mention that? It seems like it's going back and forth too much to me. But that is it. When I mess up, if I have a strong word towards one of the kids, I apologize, not just to them personally, but publicly, where they can all see it, where they see that is just a natural part of our family. We blow it, we apologize, we move on. We quickly move on.
Yeah.
It's funny how I will apologize and say, oh yeah, Dad, not a problem. We move on. And I still want to kind of camp out there. No, what I did was really wrong. I really shouldn't have had that tongue. Dad, I moved on already, 10 minutes ago. But to do the same thing with my wife in front of my kids, I didn't prefer Mama the way I should have preferred her. It didn't happen like that. I like what Todd Friel says. He goes, when you go out to eat, usually the wife or the husband picks where they're going to eat. He says, I like to have my kids pick where we're going to eat. If it's within the budget, let them pick. And it's just something that he does. Now, I don't do that because I don't like my kids' taste. I'm not that spiritual, so I'm not going to be like Todd.
Right.
I'm going to go to the places where I like to go, which is like Wiener Schnitzel and In-N-Out.
Oh boy.
I don't have any testimonies really to share because my kids all got married and up and left. So
they're all walking with the Lord, aren't they?
What's that?
They're all walking with God.
They're all walking with the Lord, which is wonderful. But I do have a short testimony to give. I had Dave from Louisiana stay at our house and have lunch there before we went to Huntington Beach. Dave Grantham. And we got him a nice big sandwich. He was eating it, and my dog stole the last portion.
Oh, Sam.
Sam, he's a brat. New book coming out soon, 101 Things Dogs Do to Annoy Their Owners. He inspired the book. It comes out in about 3 weeks.
Or like 1001.
Anyway, the next day, Sue and I were sitting out, I had my iPad, and we're going to have our family devotions, just me and Sue. Sam was sitting next to me. So I was thinking about what Sam had done. He'd stolen. So as I was clicking on the Bible app, up comes Sue sitting over there, and I say, you really need to listen to this. You've been playing the hypocrite recently. And I'm talking to Sam. I look up, and Sue's face has gone pale. She had her mouth open. She looked horrified. I said, I wasn't talking to you. I was talking to the dog.
Oh,
that was actually a funny little moment.
That is good. Oh, boy. See? All the children's stories Ray has are with Sam these days.
Yeah, that's all I got.
Unbelievable.
And a rat.
Well, friends, we the what?
Ratty, rat. The rat
comes
to the
that
window.
eats the bird food?
Yeah, it comes every day, and I say, I call him Ratty. And I thought Sue had poisoned him the other day because there's dead rat smell in the chicken coop, and he came back this morning, and I texted Sue and said, he's alive!
He's back. Brought you joy.
You know what, let me comment on Ray Comfort in his video antics. Ray comes in, he drops a camera off of my desk, and he says, hey, can you upload that and do what you need to do with it? So I upload it onto my system, I ingest it in there, and I see Ray setting up a little trap for his dog. Now, there's no explanation. I have no idea why I'm capturing this. Ray puts a little biscuit up on the counter, and he's filming it, and I'm sitting through like 20 minutes of this, waiting for, I don't know what. He doesn't give me any information whatsoever, but he's trying to catch his dog stealing his biscuit. And he's moving it around the counter, trying to see what's going to happen, and nothing happens. And I go, Ray, what was that all about? He goes, oh, I'm sorry. You shouldn't have captured that. That wasn't for you.
That was a big failure. I put the biscuit on the counter, and Sam always gets up on the counter and steals food. But and I hid in the kitchen. We have restrooms in the kitchen. I opened the door that much, and
Right.
was on the corner. There's no way he could see me. He comes straight up to me. Didn't even go to the biscuit. Straight up to me with the camera. I was hiding. So it failed. So yeah, Mark's been
Are you
20
trying
minutes.
to get a conviction against your dog?
I
Ray?
am,
What's this?
because what we're doing is creating a Facebook page to go with 101 things dogs do
Right.
with their owners, and I want little clips of him really
So
doing annoying
does
things.
Sam know he's famous?
Yeah, I'm not sure, but he's really annoying me because he's not doing annoying things. I'm trying to film it.
Murphy's Law. I
Yeah,
love it.
It's making me mad.
Well, friends, we got a little video to show you about one of Ray's books.
From the archives of Lord of the Rings country, 14 rare Beatles photos from their amazing 1964 tour. This unique publication looks closely at the greatest rock band in the history of mankind, their rarely spoken of personal beliefs, and the one statement that rocked their world. What would take 4 young, impressionable atheists and make them into believers in God? What did John Lennon really believe about the afterlife? And despite his intent, why is his famous song Imagine about the reality of heaven? Don't miss The Beatles, God and the Bible by best-selling author and producer of 180, the award-winning movie seen by millions. This eye-opening book is forwarded by Grammy Award winner and former U.S. manager of Apple Records, Ken Mansfield.
Man, that author had a cool mohawk. How did you time that, Spence? The author of.
That's Steve.
Steve.
He went to Greece.
Talk about famous. Steve is famous now.
Yeah, but no one recognized him. He took the mohawk off.
Oh, he took the mohawk off. Yeah, but he's got the tattoos,
joined.
though. So
I guess so. Hard to forget.
Well, friends, this has been a fun show. One of those things where we didn't even plan to go off in those tangents, but we hope some of you have been encouraged, especially when it comes to one of the most important things, and that is raising up the next generation for the glory of God. Look, time is short. Again, I mentioned earlier, Julia will be 17 here on May 2nd, and it's flown by like this.
Good, you got a wedding to pay for. That'll teach
Oh,
you.
thanks for reminding me. I've got, 3 to pay for. I got
Yeah.
3 daughters and 2 sons. Anyhow, friends, thank you so much for joining us. Again, remember to connect with us on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter. Subscribe to our channel. That way you can find out about all the new exciting videos that we upload, which we do regularly. And connect with us on Facebook so that you can know what's going on in our lives. And most importantly, remember, like we always tell you, we brought you into our comfort zone to get you out of your comfort zone. So get out there and preach the gospel.
For questions about the Comfort Zone with Ray Comfort, or to submit questions for future shows, please email us at email@tczlive.com. That's email@tczlive.com. The Comfort Zone is an outreach of Living Waters. For more resources to inspire and equip you to fulfill the Great Commission, check out livingwaters.com or call toll-free 1-800-437-1893. Now go and preach the gospel.